Welcome to SwitchCorner, my name is Alex and today we're taking a look at Switch Sports. Now I had COVID when it released so I couldn't get around to it, but now I've had a couple of weeks hands-on and I want to let you know if I think it's going to be worth the cash. So with that, hit subscribe, join us here on SwitchCorner for reviews and deals near daily, and let's get started. Switch Sports then, it's the successor to Wii Sports and it's following iterations, and I think it's fair to say this was an anticipated release, and honestly, I'm surprised it took them this long. This game was an absolute system seller for the Wii back in the day. My own dad picked up a system after seeing it and had zero interest in games, and that is a strong sign. Something big has occurred if it can persuade even him. It just meant the Wii was able to push beyond the typical gaming consumer, and I think as a generation as a whole, you can say the same thing about the Switch, but it managed it standalone. This title surely can only help. The game, though, a relatively simple collection of 6 sports, that's bowling, football, badminton, tennis, volleyball and Chambara. That latter one, that is a sword-based defense. All are simple with basic motion controls, but did it catch my addiction? That's really the question I went into this with. I will be talking somewhat to single player here, but realistically, I want to say it up front, it's not a game I'd suggest if you want to take offline in solo. The pleasure here is in local play or online. That local play supports up to 4 players, while online you can have 2 players sharing a console, and then you'll jump into a variety of events online, all with a varying number of players. So bowling, for me, that was the classic. Many were most psyched to jump into this event type, and I myself do not feel disappointed. Online, it's the elimination tournament, 16 players, 4 rounds, and that is split across 10 sets. When it comes to controls, we can of course aim the ball before throwing it, but then as it's on the way down, we can also add spin with a simple twist of the Joy-Con. Just given the slower speed of the sport, it's the one that felt most responsive to me, and this one then it is single Joy-Con. Bowling, it's just quick and competitive, and that's exactly what I want, something that I can jump into for a smaller moment and take on the leaderboard. It even features, for lack of a better term, crazy bowling, which will test your control thanks to what are obstacles and even warped lanes. Offline, you'll be bowling alone or with local players, and it's essentially non-competitive if you do play single player. There's no AI competition, which was definitely disappointing. On the other end of the spectrum then, volleyball, by far the weakest, a simple experience of matching the timing on 3 motions. Sure, you can move your player should you choose to, but it's absolutely not necessary. The automatic will do everything you need. Not once did I find the experience exciting, and it never really felt like I was, doing all of that much. It just feels stiff and the moves are a little too disconnected from what you are doing at home. This one then, it's single Joy-Con, but I do question if perhaps making it dual would have been maybe a little bit more immersive. I myself, though, I definitely won't be returning. Football then is fantastic. I'm having a blast. I didn't have high expectations going in, but this, it's by far a new joint favourite alongside bowling. Think here though, 4v4 in what is, I can only describe as a Rocket League style arena with a massive football. There's even a gold ball that awards 2 goals, and that's always going to appear after there's a 2-goal lead, just to kind of ensure games remain close. If you do get to a score of 4, it's considered a wash and game over, and the game's end, they're a punchy 3-minute round time. This currently then is the only game you can use the leg strap that comes bundled with the physical release, if you of course choose to. I stuck myself to the traditional handheld controls, but it's by far got the most inputs, and it was one of the better ones for me response-wise. We can control the direction of the kick and the style, we can flick the Joy-Con down for a diving header, we even have full player control, camera control, and a stamina meter to manage. I've just recently unlocked Pro Leagues now as well, which means you're moving up a leaderboard and competing online, and that's a more than welcome inclusion. It just makes me want to come back constantly to keep rising through the ranks. You can unlock these for all sports as well, which is definitely a welcome addition for longevity. This one though, it requires 2 Joy-Con to participate. Badminton then, it's okay, you really notice the lack of one-to-one motion in the game with this one, but it can get manic and fast-paced. The smaller court often leads to swinging like crazy, hoping you connect, but with direction control based around, the timing of your swing and a drop shot, there's still some time to get strategic in here with its loop. It's just over extremely quickly, the first to 5 wins, and yeah, I don't know, it definitely didn't kind of hook me as much as I expected. Also, the controls, win or lose, I don't know, I couldn't get over the lack of mirroring my actions on screen here, and I didn't really get the reward or sense of loss, rather a kind of like call that worked out, or it didn't. It just didn't feel as maybe skill-based as I had hoped. Tennis is by far my preferred racket sport in the game. It's got a unique setup though in the fact it's doubles at all times, and while it does support up to 4 players, online I only ever got 1v1, and you'll actually be controlling both characters. One of the players is actually almost a ghost of you. The movement fortunately though is automatic in this scenario, but figuring out when to leverage each player is surprisingly fun. I also felt over Badminton, controls here felt a little more responsive as it's never quite as manic as small court Badminton. Those return shots that don't come in quite so quick. The skill here, master the shot types, that's topspin, backspin and lob, and then again understand the timing. The timing will be key to ball direction. It is a single Joy-Con sport and one I will return to. Our final sport then, Chambara, and for me this has the most potential in my opinion, but it definitely needs some work. A 1v1 sword-based defense, you can go with single sword, a charge sword which actually builds energy when blocking, and then twin swords. It's another one given the almost first-person perspective, you'll notice that delay in recognition, but I was able to make it work. The idea though simple, attack your opponent till they fall off the platform into the water while blocking and reading their blocks along the way. It's really about mastering the different directional swings. My warning, it can be pretty manic as folks head into battle and just kind of swing like crazy, so you may have a few matches that simply frustrate. I'd love to see them put some sort of warning in here if someone is swinging too much. Maybe you get a limited number of swings before it is game over. Stick with it though, find a decent opponent and you may actually find some value in here. This one then, it supports single Joy-Con as well as dual. Alongside the games then, the only other content really, collectibles. Each victory awards XP and they are rotating out a selection of unlockable collectibles that are basically cosmetics for your character. Get all of them in a set and you will unlock a full outfit. The character creator open in the game, it's extremely weak with limited options, so that was clearly by design so they could pad out the reward for the player. Issues with the game then, it just feels content light, something Nintendo have been doing a lot recently with a promise to add more in the future. This one, it's at a $30 to $40 price tag or your regional equivalent, dependent if you want that leg strap or physical. It's definitely not the cheapest of titles and I almost feel like they would have benefited here from a pay-to-play model alongside this fall release, as in think the hub world is free but you pay for the individual sports in here so you can kind of, I guess, pick and choose. Also then, single players, again, like the content is lacking. Some sports, they support AI opponents, but it's far from a necessary purchase. I wouldn't have any desire to pick this game up and play solo, nor is that particularly what it was ever designed for. It's very much a party game around one TV, though the bonus of online now, it just feels like a perfect fit. Me and a group of friends, we've been kind of having a blast jumping into bowling online and we've definitely got the addiction. Out of the 6 sports, so I really like 2, football and bowling. I despise 1 in volleyball. The remainder, tennis, badminton and Chambara, there is fun to be had, they have their value, but for me personally, they probably wouldn't have me coming back standalone. My final note then, and I can only speak to myself, but no issues with connection online or finding matches since launch. Graphics then, and it's decent, it's extremely clean looking, there's some nice environments at times, they keep the resolution high and it's about as bright as they come. The motion though can sometimes impact the animations of our characters, they can look a little weird. The characters are mostly generic though, but again, the unlockable cosmetics, they can definitely get a little bit crazy with them. Seems these cosmetics will be a constant update as well, which no doubt some players are absolutely gonna love. The most important thing with this one though, the visuals, it was to keep it simple so you never lost track of the action, what your character was doing, and yeah, I can confidently say that is what they delivered. It even packs some nice replays for goals, victories and so on, though I do think a few extra angles might have went a long way. The game then, it starts in a hub world and it's nice enough, kind of gives you that sense of, I think, almost an Olympic village. No real issues visually outside of the weird animations, it won't blow you away, but it's about exactly what I expected. Audio then, and again exactly what I anticipated, a collection of tracks that I would describe as almost chilled out elevator music, though it still maintains a decent BPM to ensure you're never, falling asleep. It's designed to mostly be ignored, and then the sound effects, kind of the same thing, they do their job, but there's little variety in them. So the final verdict in Switch Sports, it's not quite the collection I wanted, but I do think it's a fine starting point. I do wish Nintendo would get back to the days of simply selling us completed games rather than promising us content down the line. They did the exact same thing with Mario Golf, but the collection contains, I'm willing to play 3 of the 6 sports. I dislike 1, I love 2, and that seems, I guess, like a decent result. The motion controls then, they will take some getting used to. The lack of one-to-one tracking in some sports definitely noticeable, and the weak character creator that greets you could have been a whole lot better, but at least you will expand it with progression. In the end though, I've definitely got my money's worth at this point. I paid $40 for the physical release, and I'd say I'm north of 10 hours at this point, and I have no reason to put it down just yet. I definitely still have other players left to crush. It's a good 7 out of 10 from me today, but just be warned again, it's slim on content with the promise of more to come. A shout out then to the patrons of the channel who are going above and beyond to support SwitchCorner. It helps more than you know, so thank you all so much. Then hit subscribe if you love the Switch, as much as we all do here. Join our growing family, and I'll see you all on the next video. Thanks everyone.